Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Lydia. Today's video is part 2 of my interview with MK about her DCP. So enjoy. Would you do the DCP again?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. I even had, there were a few times, not really anymore, but not long after I came home from the DCP where I was like, should I apply again and just do it all over again? I would definitely do it again for sure. It was such a good experience.
I've only seen it through YouTube, but it just looks so much fun.
Yeah. And I mean, you will, I feel like the YouTubers are very transparent as far as explaining that it is a lot of work. Like you do work a lot
hmm
and it's not like all perfect all the time. But I mean, I just had a really good experience. Yeah, there were days that just felt like any other day and there were days I didn't feel like going to work for sure.
hmm
But overall, just the experience was awesome. And yeah, so I started in August of
hmm
fall 2017 and um I'm sure if you're watching this you probably know how the program works, but you stay a semester and then halfway through you can apply to extend. So
Yeah.
I did and I got it and I actually was offered a different role. So I would have switched roles. I was actually going to be a seater if I stayed, which is like a hostess. So working at one of the restaurants, but they don't tell you which restaurant until like day one of training.
Oh.
So it's kind of, it could be, I don't know, it's kind of like a gamble. Like you accept it, but you don't know exactly where you're going to be working. But anyways, I got the extension, but I don't know, I felt like I kind of got what I needed out of the program.
Yeah.
And I will say it is pretty expensive to be down there. And I just felt like I wasn't blowing my money, but it was just expensive to be down there. I just felt like I was spending money all the time. And obviously, you don't get paid a whole lot. It's enough,
Yeah.
but and then I just really started missing my family and I don't know, I just felt like okay, I feel like I got what I needed out of it. I did
Yeah.
for the experience and I prayed about it a lot and I just felt like I was supposed to go home.
hmm
So then I actually technically self-termed in December, like right before Christmas. So once I had made up my mind that I was going to come home, I figured, well, at this point, I might as well come home right before Christmas so I could be with my family on
Yeah.
Christmas. And I don't know, it's one of those things that looking back, I would have survived if I stayed down there and if I didn't get to see my family on Christmas or whatever. But when you're down there, it's what a lot of cast members talk about is a lot of cast members get really homesick, especially being in a place where you're surrounded by families
Yeah.
all the time. And then again, for me, growing up, going with my family all the time, everything just reminded me of them.
Yeah.
So, it honestly felt weird the beginning of my program to like be down there without them.
Yeah.
Um, and then it felt fine. But yeah, no, they actually came and visited me after Thanksgiving. And once I saw them, I was like, oh yeah, I miss you guys too much. Like I need to come home. So yeah, I technically self-termed as much as I loved the program and
Yeah.
as much as I loved the experience, I just felt like, all right, I did it. And
Yeah.
it's weird because in some ways I felt like I was saying goodbye to Disney forever, but then I just had to remind myself, like, no, you're not. You can come back. It's not like when you
Yeah.
self term or if you leave or whatever that you can't come back to Disney, but it kind of feels like that for whatever reason. Um, so I just kind of I had to keep reminding myself, like, you can come back as a guest and
Mhm.
it'll be great. You can come back whenever you want. Like, don't worry about it. And yeah, I definitely feel like I made the right decision. I actually came home, and the night I came home, my sister told me she was expecting and her first baby. And so that really was like, okay, I was if I would have chosen to stay and she would have told me that she was having a baby, I would have come home anyways.
Mhm.
And so I would have dropped everything and be like, I'm out of here. So she said that once she heard that I made my decision to come home, she was just going to wait and surprise me when I got home with the news. So that really clarified, like, okay, Mary Catherine, like, you're supposed to be home right now. Um, and I'm just so thankful again. This was her first baby. It was the first baby in our family. And I got to experience her pregnancy with her and all that kind of stuff. We're super tight, best friends. Um, but there were a lot of days where, because a lot of my roommates stayed. And
Mhm.
so that was kind of hard seeing them still down there. And there were some days where I was like, did I leave too early? Should I have stayed longer? And I definitely was like kicking myself at some points. But then I would also be like, no, that I made the right decision. And I ultimately did. I mean, you can't really, I don't know. I'm a strong believer. So I feel like the Lord just had me come home when I did. And that was that. So, but yeah, now looking back, so I was only there from August to December. And at the time, it felt so long. But looking back, that was so short. So sometimes I do think, man, I wish I would have worked there a little bit longer than what is that, like 4 months or something? 5 months. But anyways, yeah, I can't even remember what you asked me. I just went on this
You
long.
answered no, you answered the question.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
In that question, could you explain, like, what self-term means?
Yeah, so basically what they Disney uses a lot of different terminology. Um so instead of saying like fired, which I mean if you're talking we would say fired or whatever, but terming is what they refer to as being fired. So if you hear of a cast member that got termed, that means they got fired. So self term means you quit, basically. So I basically quit, but it sounds a lot better to say I self termed. And my bosses were, this happens all the time. Like it's not a huge deal. I had a few other coworkers that also self termed right before Christmas. The leaders are used to it. So I sat down with one of my leaders and explained, I filed or not filed, I applied to extend and I got it, but I think I'm going to go home. And since I'm going to go home, I think I'm going to go before Christmas. And they were totally cool with it. I left on really good terms. It wasn't like a dramatic exit or like I quit or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it really was just like, all right, I think I'm gonna basically put in my 2 weeks. And yeah, I was good with my leaders and my coworkers. Everybody was good. And I left on a really good note. So my
That
dad and my brother um flew down and then helped me pack my stuff up. And then we went to the parks all together and then they drove home with me. So
that's nice.
yeah.
I have such a random Disney question, but
Yeah,
is the Disney point a thing?
it is very much a thing.
I
Very much a
felt
thing.
myself doing it myself.
Yeah. So it took me a while. And I think it's a thing because I think in some countries, one finger is like offensive or something.
Mhm.
I think that's how it is. I don't know. Or that's why they do it. But yeah, no, it's very much a thing down there as a cast member. You're like always using 2 fingers, always. It's either you use 2 fingers or a hand. So I would always use 2 fingers. And even when I got home, I was always pointing with 2 fingers. I even catch myself now a lot of times. Not as much because it's been 5 years, but
Yeah.
every now and then I will. It's funny. I think when I'm talking about Disney, I just like subconsciously start pointing with 2 fingers.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing for sure.
That's good, cause I've started to do it and I'm not even doing the program.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, cause I'd heard from, like I've heard other YouTubers say, like, it's like a Disney point, so I was like, "Okay, I gotta practice, so it's not like a new thing."
Yeah, I know. You tell them in your interview you got the Disney point down. Maybe they'll hire you on the spot.
I wish. Um, what was your favorite meet and greet that you got to go to if you went to any?
I'm trying to think. That is one thing. When I was little, I met the characters all the time, and then when I got older, I honestly didn't care about meeting the characters when I got older. Um, my family was just so much like rides, rides, rides. Like we were just always wanting to ride
Sounds
the
like
rides.
my
Like,
family.
yeah, we did not care to wait in line for characters. I always still liked meeting Ariel for whatever reason because she's my favorite princess.
Mine too.
Um, is she?
Yes.
Yeah, that Little Mermaid was my favorite movie, the one I watched probably the most.
Same. Same.
But my roommates, I feel like all of my roommates loved meet and greets, and it was kind of because of them that I got back into it and I started enjoying them again. Because we would meet characters a lot of the time as roommates, and that was always really fun. One that I think of specifically was, so one of my roommates, Marley, worked at Star Tours, and we kind of had this like, if this is the same day I'm thinking of, it might be 2 different days. I don't know. But we went and visited her. She was working. We went and said hey to her. And then we went over to meet Chewbacca and Kylo Ren. But meeting Chewbacca, we had like a really good interaction with him. And he was being really funny and just, he's always so fun to go and hug. Um, so yeah, that kind of stands out in my mind as one of the most fun meet and greets. Um, but yeah, we were always meeting characters but yeah, meeting Chewbacca, that Chewbacca hug is like the best.
I got to meet him a few trips back, and it was the best.
Oh, good for you. I'm glad.
Yeah. I actually saw someone who like did a DCP like on like a YouTube video meet him. I was like, I want to meet him.
Oh, cool. Good deal.
Yeah. He does have the best hugs.
He does. And he's just so tall that you kind of just like fit right into him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
The
great.
picture that I have with him, you can't even see me. He just like,
Ah, you're probably covered by all his
yep.
fur. Yeah. He's cute.
Yeah. I did meet Kylo Ren, and that actually kind of scared me. I'm not gonna lie.
Uh, yeah, I love meeting Kylo Ren. He's just, I don't know. Yeah, he's fun, but he is a little scary
He
in
asked
a
like
fun way.
what side I was on, and I got so scared. I was like, "Your side,"
Oh my gosh,
and
that's
I meant to
funny.
say the resistance because like I'll be like rebellious and like say, but I was
Yeah,
scared.
that is funny. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah. Um. Man, you answered a lot of things. I'm trying to find any. So my voice just did that. Wow. Um. Did I ask you a question about your favorite day working? Or did we cover
my,
that?
my favorite day working?
Yeah, did I ask you? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay,
Like,
I'll
is
just
there
say
a specific day that I remember?
yeah.
Yeah, one comes to mind. I kind of said earlier how, well, maybe I didn't totally clarify, but a lot of the CPs get all the night shifts kind of everywhere. Um, but like Janie, my roommate, she worked a lot of morning shifts. So I guess it honestly depends the role,
Mhm.
but typically the CPs get kind of like the worst shifts, which is closing out the parks. Um, and so I closed all the time. But there was one day specifically, and I think it was only one day, maybe 2 times I did this, where I worked the morning and I opened the store.
Oh, that's fun.
And because every now and then they would have CP, like a small handful of CPs open the store. But
Mhm.
usually it was like part-time, full-time cast members that worked morning day shifts. But there was one day specifically where I opened the store and it just felt just so like fresh opening
Yeah.
as opposed to closing. It was just a totally different feel. And I'll never forget, I was given my first, like, I was on register that day,
Mhm.
and they actually had me start the day out on Main Street. So not on register yet. I had a little like cart with the celebrating buttons. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. You know the celebrating buttons you can get,
Yeah.
like all the different kinds. So I had a cart with all the different kinds of celebrating buttons, and then I think I had like a Mickey hand they gave me. And my job basically was to just stand there for about like an hour and just
Mhm.
like welcome the guests coming in, like wave to them. And most guests know when they see the buttons, um, what they are. And so a lot of the guests will come up to me. They see I have the buttons and they'll ask me to make them one. And that was just so fun. And I don't know, again, just being like the start of the day, it felt so fresh. Everybody's coming in just so excited. Whereas, like, at the end of the day, it's still fun and everything, but everybody's exhausted
Yeah.
and it's just a totally different vibe. But yeah, that I'll never forget that. Just I remember standing there on Main Street, waving to everybody come in and thinking like, this is why I did the program because this is such a cool experience. Like I'm in this costume, um, with a Mickey hand, and like I don't know, I get to be the one to like welcome people into Disney World for the day. It just felt really cool at the time. Um, yeah, I love that. And then at nighttime, what was cool was getting to see the fireworks every night. Now, obviously, we're inside the Emporium, so we can't really watch.
Mhm.
But one of my favorite things ever, and a lot of the Emporium cast members, and I bet any like Main Street cast members, we loved looking out on Main Street and seeing the people lined up watching the fireworks. So, and just it never felt like it never got old every night. So seeing it happily ever after was the fireworks show at the time, which they're bringing
Mhm.
back, thank goodness.
Yeah.
um Even though I heard it every single night for months, like it just never got old. And I think a lot of that was because of seeing the people's reactions. um like I don't know, I'm pretty sure I shed a tear every single night I heard it. Like I always cried, not like a boo-hoo
Yeah.
cried, but I always teared up. And especially when Tinkerbell would come and fly, like the whole Main Street would just be like, oh, like every single night. And that was so fun. So yeah, I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
That was just a really good memory.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad they're bringing Happily Ever back.
I know. I haven't seen Enchantment live. I've watched it online. And I think I'm just kind of partial, a little biased to Happily Ever After. I
Yeah.
wasn't super impressed with Enchantment. But I have heard you need to see it in person. I just haven't yet.
I was
But
able to see it, and there's
oh,
a
you did?
yeah, and I don't know what it is. Like, it's such a great like, it's a great show, especially for like, the 50th. Like, it's perfect for the 50th.
Okay.
I think the Haunted Magic Kingdom, it just says Happily Ever After. I feel like that's that's why
Yeah.
people love Magic Kingdom is because Happily Ever After. 'Cause you have so many fairy tales there. So I feel like that just
Yeah.
mhm.
That is very true. Yeah, Happily Ever After. And now for that show to replace Wishes, which was, you know, such a good show for so
Yeah.
long. People loved Wishes. And when that went away, I remember people being like really sad, but also kind of excited because Wishes had been running for so long
Yeah.
that it was kind of like, oh, we get a new fireworks show. So it's kind of exciting. And then I don't remember hearing really anything negative about Happily Ever After. I guess the only thing people would talk about is because it was more projections. Like Wishes was like, I don't think they had any projections. It was just fireworks and
Mhm.
the soundtrack. Um, but so a lot of people, I guess, would say, oh, well, if you're not in a good spot, you can't really see the projections. But as far as like the soundtrack and everything and the fireworks,
Yeah.
everyone loved it right away. Everybody just immediately fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And it Happily Ever After is sentimental to me because that debuted right before my program.
That's
So
so
to
cool.
me, it was like the sound Happily Ever After is like the soundtrack to my DCP.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, so that's why it's pretty, and like that's the fireworks show I heard every night while I was working
Mhm,
there. So I grew up with Wishes,
mhm.
um, but as a cast member, I had Happily Ever After, and that was really neat. So I can't wait to go see it again.
Yeah. It's weird because like, I saw Enchantment and, like, I can, like, pick out, like, different, like, fun songs in it, but
Hmm.
in Happily Ever After, there was the
Yeah,
one scene, it's I Can Go the Distance, so they just project all the characters.
yeah,
That's, like, my favorite scene, like, that's, like, just on loop, I just, like, love that.
yeah. I love that too. That's a great scene.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Oh, wow. Uh, mm. Oh, what advice for people thinking of doing the DCP do you have?
Um, that's a big question. I would say if you love Disney, definitely, definitely do it. Um, and just go down there with the mindset of just being open to different opportunities. Um, because you just never know once you get down there what kind of opportunity could come about, or maybe you don't get the role you wanted. Um, kind of stick it out. One of my roommates, she wasn't thrilled about one of the roles she was placed in, but she stuck it out, and I think that's great that she did. And it was hard. She had hard times, but so go down there with the mindset of let me try and stick it out even if it's not what I expect at first. Um but if you're thinking about it again, if you don't like Disney, I probably wouldn't suggest it because I don't know why you would want to go work for a place you don't like. But if you love, like, genuinely love Disney, um,
I mean,
yeah, like you obviously do, then I think a lot of time it might not really even matter what role you get, or you'll make the best of it. And you'll hear about people, honestly, and this is how this goes for any job.
mhm.
When you have good people you're working with, that can totally change a job, a situation, anything. So, um, yeah, you just never know. When you get down there, you could apply and be told you're gonna work at so and so or whatever and not be happy, but then you get down there, maybe that's how you meet like one of your best friends or something. So, just go down there open-minded and really take advantage of the time you have down there too. I think, like I said, I had terrible sleeping hours and work hours, but I still got out and went to the parks as much as I could because I knew I'm not going to be able to do that forever. So, I really tried to take advantage of the time I had when I was there.
Wow, that was really well said, I love that. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, I have, one last question.
Okay.
Do you have a magic moment that you'll never forget? Maybe you already
Uh,
answered that, but I don't know, just yeah.
I think I'm trying to think of moments specifically speaking.
Mhm,
I'm not sure. I think I would probably just say the overall, again, seeing the guest reaction to the fireworks show, but also everything. It was just really cool to see them um, get excited about coming into the Emporium and getting the new merch, or just watching guests enjoy Disney World was just really fun. And kind of being on the other side of that. So, like,
mhm,
making the magic or whatever. And there were a few times where, so if you were working in the Emporium, we were given like these little slips of papers
mhm.
that, gosh, I can't even really remember what they were called now, but basically, like, you can make a magic moment for somebody. So if you were talking to a guest and I don't know, you clicked with them or whatever, you could give them a fast pass. At the time it was fast pass, now it's
Yeah.
a lightning lane. But you could write them a fast pass or give them like a thing for a voucher for a free ice cream, or you could even give we could give merch away if we wanted.
Oh,
Nothing too nothing too crazy. Um but yeah, we had the freedom to do that. So I remember there were a few days where I was like, I don't know, not having the best day, and I was like, okay, I need to make today more interesting, make today more fun. So I'm going to try and find like a guest and make a magical moment or whatever. So I met this one family and they were all here for their dad's birthday, and I was like, "Oh, happy birthday. Have you gotten to do all the things you wanted to do?" And I was like, "What's your favorite ride? Have you gotten to do your favorite ride?" And they're like, "Well, we love." He's like, "We love Space Mountain, but just so the wait is so long today that we'll just have to catch it next time." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm pretty sure Mickey would love for you to ride Space Mountain on your birthday." So I pulled out my thing and like wrote a magic moment for them to go have a fast pass for Space Mountain.
that's awesome.
Um, so like I did a few things like that that just were super fun. To be able to feel like I had the power to do that was really
Yeah.
cool. um, yeah, I so and there would be kids that would come up to me and like ask me questions about the park, or if if I was checking a guest out and say they're buying like Pirates of the Caribbean merch or something. Well, it wouldn't have been that because we never sold that, but like some sort of merch
Right.
related to a character. I just remember talking to a kid about Jack Sparrow one day. That's why I said that. But like if a little girl was checking out like a princess dress, and I would say like, "Oh, is she your favorite princess? Like, do you love Ariel or Rapunzel or whatever?" And um, kind of like get in character with them, be like, "I heard the Ariel is over here," or whatever, and just kind of playing along
Mhm.
with them was always really fun. And yeah. So I don't know if I have like one specific answer that comes to mind. It's a lot of little things
Yeah,
for
that's
my
good. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Going off that, do you have a favorite merchandise that you got?
Funny enough, I like hardly bought anything while I was down there because again, it was just so dang expensive. Um
Yeah.
to pay for the housing and then like groceries, and then you're going and playing in the parks all the time, so I would buy like Disney food and I was eating out all the time, so I never really bought a lot of merch. I think I bought like 2 pairs of ears, and get this, I had never owned a pair of ears until my DCP, like never bought any. Yeah, so I bought my first pair of ears. It's like the same pair you're wearing, like just the classic red and black,
Mhm.
like mini ones, I guess. Um, and like the sparkly, are yours sparkly?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that's like the first pair I bought. So those are pretty special to me. And then we also had a shirt at the time that had Main Street USA,
Mhm.
and it had Walt and Mickey walking together down Main Street USA, and I did buy that, and I'm so glad I did, because I just, like, fell in love with Main Street even more after working there, and then my roommate did because I had my birthday while I was down there, and my roommates got me some really sweet gifts, and one of them was, an Alex and Ani, bracelet that had the Snow White whistle while you work charm on it.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
I just thought that was cute, and I would wear it to work, and yeah, that was really special to me, and I still have it. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, MK, that I could interview you today. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, thank you for having me. I'm always here to answer any Disney question you have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.